All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another quick video. All right, y'all, so I just got done looking at the interview, post-fight interview with Amanda Nunes, after the fight between Rocky Pennington and Mayra Bueno Silva. And, of course, the question came up, the question and the topic came up about Amanda Nunes possibly returning to the cage. And first off, I got to say, I've seen this before. Everybody's seen this before. If you're a boxing fan or MMA fan, you know how it is, especially with boxing. Guys, they retire all the time, only to go to a fight, sit ringside or cage side, and all of a sudden they get bit by that bug again. They get bit by that bug and they get that feeling that, oh, I can do this again. They take a look at the person in the octagon and they say, oh, I can do that, or I could do that better. There's been many a times you see fighters do that. So with Amanda Nunes sitting cage side and watching Rocky Pennington and her performance, which, like I said, it wasn't like the greatest performance, but hey, I got to give her credit for winning. Of course, somebody like Amanda sitting there is going to be like, oh, yeah, I could get back in there and do that. I can still compete, right? I can still compete. And that's the question I know some people asked me. That's why I posted up a little vote. I wanted to know, can Amanda Nunes come back? And the second part would be, should she come back? All right. So as a two-part question, can Amanda Nunes come back? I'm sure she could. I'm sure she could definitely come back. I mean, it hasn't been that long. It's not like she's been gone like 2 or 3 years. She's only been gone like, 8 months last summer. Last summer since the Irene Aldana fight, she vacated her belts. So I don't think it's something like, oh, she can't come back. She's just completely done. It all depends on how she feels. I know in this interview she said that, she spent most of her years, like her 20s, all the way up to her 30s, training. So, she feels like she needs this break and she just wants to take this little rest. But at the same time, she said these key factors that let you know that it could be a high possibility that she comes back. She did say she still feels that power. She feels powerful, strong, smart, and, still has that fight IQ. She's that championship mentality. She was like, I still feel like a champion. So that right there is telling you that, she's not completely retired, and she also just kept throwing out, I'm just spending time with the family, getting a little rest. So it sounds like she could come back. But again, can she come back? Yeah, she can, because she hasn't been gone that long. And again, the division is not that. The division hasn't changed since he's been gone, right? It's not like the flyweight division where, all of a sudden, we used to have Valentina facing off against like the Cachoeiras, Lauren Murphys, Caitlin Chikagas. Flyweight's just, taking a big change. It's been taking a big change over the past year, where these girls are stepping it up. It's like a monster division. But, bantamweight, it's a dry division right now. Not saying these fighters are bad, but they've seen better days, So for Amanda, she could come back in and just pick up right where she left off, because she'd be fighting a lot of girls she's already fought, a lot of second and third fights, If she wants to fight Rocky again, that's a rematch right there from a fight that took place, 7, 8 years ago. And I'm sure she could still get the victory over her. Amanda's just that talented and she's just that good. She left on a note of being a dominant champion. When you look at Amanda Nunes compared to the other fighters, there's just something you see in her where she's got an answer for everybody. Even the Juliana Pena fight, you know what I mean? Like Juliana Pena, of course, beat her the first time, but even if they were to face off in the third fight, I think we still all have to go with Amanda and the high skills that she possesses and what she learned from the first 2 fights. So, that's all it is. Second, third fights, Holly Holm, she did that. Mayra Bueno Silva's not even really on her level, which she proved last Saturday. So nobody would want to really see that fight. Irene Aldana, she got shut out. So who could she beat, right? I mean, who could really be that threat to her? So, yeah, she could come back. She can come back and win the belt. But who'd really want to see that at this point, right? Who'd really want to see her do that? Like, what would it do for her legacy? Nothing really. Like, it would just be the same old thing. Even her, like, she might wind up get caught slipping in a fight because she's gotten bored, feeling like, okay, nobody offers anything. So that could be a danger to her, right? It could be a danger to her, right? So, yeah, she can come back. She can come back and, do it again because I believe her skills are still above the rest of the girls. Not much has changed. Now, second part, should she come back? I don't think so. She shouldn't come back. She shouldn't come back at this point because, her legacy already speaks for itself. There's nothing else to do. Again, there's no more fighters in the division that offer anything different. Again, this is not the flyweight division. You know what I mean? Like, there's not even a featherweight division that she could come back and compete in. She'd be going back down to a division that she already conquered. So she shouldn't come back for that because there's nothing to offer. You always give that person that you've beaten a closer chance of beating you, even if you can beat them, you know. So there's no need to do that. She shouldn't come back for that reason, but she also shouldn't come back because you know, seeing somebody else perform doesn't mean you can do it anymore. Like, maybe physically she's not there, because like I said, I'm going back to the interview where she talked about having severe nerve damage in her legs, right? Like, it might not be the fights, right? The fights could be easy, right? But training is hard, right? To make fights look easy, you have to go through hell in training, right? And that's probably where she's winding up getting a lot of the wear and tear, right? She's probably been, you know, suffering a lot of damage in training. So she might wind up getting hurt in training before she could even come back, right? She might suffer more injuries in training before she could even come back, or suffer a career injury in training, you know? So at her age, you know, at 35, okay, that's younger than me, of course, but in MMA years and boxing years, that's old, you know, like, especially with the fights you fought, the training camps you've been in, you know, the injuries you suffered, the losses you suffered, even the wins you suffered, right? You've came away with, you've accomplished so much in the game. It's like, okay, that puts a lot of years on your life. You know, you're a lot older than people think. You know, that's the thing about the fight game. It puts a lot of years on you. So she's older than you think. So yeah, you can see people doing this in the cage, but you know, when you get in there, things might be off. Reflexes might be off. Again, you might pull a muscle in there quicker than you had before. Just those little things you have to think of. So I think that would be too risky. That's one reason she shouldn't come back. And the third one I say don't come back is because the weight could be an issue. Come on, you know, Amanda Nunes, she walks around at like 160, 170, right? So for her to try to come back and make bantamweight consistently, like 3 or 4 fights in a row, I think that would be killing her. You know, that would definitely kill her, man. So I think that, you know, she should probably, like, well, I would say if there was something like, if there was still a featherweight division, that would be cool, right? She could just come back at featherweight, a thriving featherweight division. But because before, when she was double champ, she would do both, right? She stayed at featherweight for like a year, then she moved back down. But now that it's only a bantamweight division, why come back now against fighters you've already fought and try to drain yourself down to 135 at 35 years old, right? And try to do that like 2 or 3 times or 2 times a year, you know? So I think that would be out of the question too, of her trying to make weight at this point. You know, I think it would really hurt her at this point. So, yeah, should she come back? No, those are good reasons not to come back, all right? And again, there's no reason to try to go on another run. There's no fighters that we want to see you go in there and fight 4 or 5 times, you know, defend your belt 4 or 5 times in a row, you know, even if you did beat Rocky. Like, I don't want to see a rubber match with GDR. Pena's probably the only fight we'd want to see, right? That's probably the only one that she would probably come back and want to do. Like, I think that might be the one fight she's finding kind of interesting right now, you know, because she probably wants to go in there and beat Rocky in a rematch now, because let's be real, you know, if Amanda comes back now, she's going to be doing an immediate title fight. She's going to get an immediate title shot, and that's going to piss Juliana Pena off, right? But I think Juliana Pena would love it, because if Amanda goes in there and beats Rocky in this rematch, then that would give Pena that 3rd fight she's been wanting, right? It would also piss her off too, because she'd be like, oh man, this girl just came back, she retired, came back, and took my title shot. That'll give her more fuel to make the fight interesting, right? But that's just how I see it. That's, you know, how I think the fighters would probably look at it at this point. But for me, I really don't want to see Amanda come back at all. You know, I don't think it's worth it for her to come back. She could, you know, she's definitely able to go back in there and compete, you know, with the skills she possesses. You know, she's still better than all the bantamweights. But the thing is, you don't know about the other factors like father time, the injuries she suffered, and the weight and stuff like that. And who knows, the mindset could have changed. You know, she, like I said, probably just got bit by the bug like a lot of boxers do. You know, they sit ringside and think they could do that. But when they get in there, they get knocked out in 2 rounds. Then they go back into hiding, you know. So, yeah, I don't think she should come back. She definitely has the skills, but, nah, it's too risky. What do y'all think, guys? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.